3 minutes to go.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
Happy New Year! Woohoo! Come on, dudes. Get excited. Get excited. Woo! It's the new year. 2022. It's going to kick our butts.
Gonna kick our butts, I think. It will.
Dave, where's your hat? Someone's knitting. Sue DeRose is knitting. Oh, Susan's got her Santa hat on. Yeah. Go get your New Year's hat.
All right.
Dave, where's your hat? Yes.
There we go. Happy New Year.
Woo!
All right. Now it's the static. Now that's the static noise.
All right. Wait, we still got 1 minute. We have 1 more minute to party. Come on. Woo! Woo! 2022's butt. Hey, what the? Oh, I thought Diane had on a hat, but she's got horns coming out the top of her head. Excellent.
All right.
Mike Schlossberg is somewhere in New York or something.
Ma, that is way too loud.
What?
Allentown.
You want me to play Party in the USA now?
No.
All right.
Whatever you're playing, stop. All right. Oh, that explains a lot, actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been
All
preparing
right.
for this meeting for hours.
I thought this was a dry event. All right, there we go.
It's BYOB.
For Halloween.
What?
Am I too late for Halloween?
Yeah, let's see. What do you got?
There you
I
go.
got that on my.
there's a
Oh, excellent.
All right. All right. Well, anyway, there
Hello.
was that. In case anyone was asleep, you're now clearly awake. So we want to try to get started pretty quickly here. So I wanted to talk about a little bit of what's happening. First of all, for anyone here that's new, my name is Dave Harrington. I am, at least for this meeting, the president of Lehigh Valley for All. We're going to get to more of that very soon. We like to start with actually to indicate if anybody is here for the first time, if you want to just do a raise your hand, just say your name and where you're from if you're comfortable with it. All the old timers are here. Okay. Awesome. Well, welcome back, everybody. As you saw from that play, it is a new year for LV4ALL. It's a new year for elections. We have a lot of statewide candidates that are coming up. We have a lot of possibility with new districts to get better representation in the House and in the Senate of Pennsylvania. We also have a chance to finally, well, we will be getting rid of Pat Toomey this year. So that's good, right? Finally, yeah. That's something to be celebrating. And we also are going to have a chance to finally, I think, get back to, hopefully, if this Omicron goes away, some semblance of some normalcy once everybody gets their vaccines going and everything like that. So I'm very excited for 2022. I think it's going to be a great year. It's going to be a tough year for Democrats. You know, obviously, as any year after or 2 years after there's a presidential election, that the opposite party does a little better in the primaries, or not the primaries, in the midterms. But I think that we really have a solid core group of volunteers. I mean, we have 43 people on here right now, so give everyone that's on here a big round of applause. Thank you all for coming out. There you go. There you go. With that, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we will be doing tonight. So we're going to be getting an update on, or an overview of the redistricting, what that is going to mean to us here in Lehigh Valley. So Mike Schlossberg's here for that. I'm not sure if I see him yet, but Pete Schweier may be joining us as well.
I think he's going to be joining on the phone, Dave.
No, actually, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh,
No, he's here. I
Oh, there
see
he
him.
is. There you go. Hey.
Oh, there we go.
And then we're going to be hearing from some candidates that are running in 2022. So we should be hearing from a lot of different folks around that. We're going to be then talking about the next election for LV4ALL. You guys remember, we changed the bylaws to try to get it to be every other year. President and treasurer ran, in a 2-year slot, and then we would have the vice president and the secretary run in a 2-year slot, so that we weren't losing the entire executive board every time. So as an artifact of that, I stayed on for an additional 5th year. But as much as I respect, folks like Putin and Kim Jong-un, I will have to stop as my tenure is done and I am out of terms. So I will be helping whoever is going to be the next president. Obviously, we want to maintain the momentum and the energy in the organization that we have, and I'm sure that person is going to be fantastic for the position. So I know that. We're also going to be talking a little bit about what we're doing with the Susan Wild campaign. For those of you that don't know, the even kookier Republicans have come out to try to run against them, or try to run against her and us in that. So we should be getting that. And then we're going to be getting into petition drive season here soon. So we'll have some updates on that as well. But I know there's a lot of folks who are here that are doing statewide things. And I know that I believe Mike and Pete, you guys have a meeting coming up pretty soon as well. So we really wanted to get some updates on the redistricting that's going on. So I'm probably going to start with that. We might have executive reports a little later on in the evening then. So I want to turn it over to Mike Schlossberg and Pete Schweier, who are our state representatives in Allentown. They're here to explain the craziness of the redistricting. So go ahead, take it away.
Pete, you're literally in your car, so why don't you go first?
And you're literally in my district, according to the picture behind you.
Lovely city.
It is a lovely city, I agree. Yeah, Dave, first and foremost, I want to thank you for giving us a little bit of flexibility and moving us to the beginning of the agenda. We are in session, and I am freezing. And outside, I'm being a terrible environmentalist at this moment, insofar as I have my car on, so that I have heat on while I'm in a parking lot in Harrisburg, and I skipped out of a dinner meeting I was having that, candidly, I'm trying to push our electric distribution companies and supporting some things with community solar, but that's another conversation for another day. We're here to talk about redistricting. And as Mike can attest to, and if Jeannie McNeil were on this call, she would be able to do so as well. There's a terrible phrase in Harrisburg that we all use, and none of us actually truly know what it means, but it applies to this, which is we're keeping our powder dry. So starting with the House, I will say this. 30 years of Republican gerrymandering has created districts all across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that concentrate Democrats into small little islands. And I'll give you my favorite example of Lancaster City. Actually, Harrisburg City works just as well, where you have this bright blue dot of a city that's almost the size of a state legislative district, say 50, 60,000 people. And then immediately around it are a bunch of suburbs, some of which are trending Democrat or are Democrat. And then there's a whole bunch of ish areas. So what they've been doing is they've been concentrating those cities and a couple of the Democratic towns immediately around it into a district. So if you drive through Dauphin County, for example, Dauphin County, that overwhelmingly voted for Biden, overwhelmingly voted for Hillary, overwhelmingly voted for Obama's second term. I think Tom Wolf won it by 10 or 12 points. The county has one state representative that represents just the city of Harrisburg and a couple of towns around it, even though there's a few legislative seats that are marginal-ish. They're like 45, 46% Democratic performance. In 2020, what we saw was the maps held for the Republicans. So a whole lot of seats that Democrats thought we'd be competitive in, we really weren't, because the exact math worked out. So if it's a Democratic expected Democratic performance of 46, 47%, the Democrat got 46, 47% and couldn't break that 50% threshold. This is science. This isn't something that's just sort of happened. The Republicans, for the last three redistricting efforts, have created these districts and have tied this knot that has made it nearly impossible for Democrats to win the majority in either the House or the Senate. Fun fact, the Senate hasn't been the Democrats have not won the majority since 1984 in the state Senate. They had it for one year because of a party switch, but they haven't actually won it at the polls since 1984. And so what we've been facing is trying to unwind decades of gerrymandering over and over and over again. As the science gets better and better and better, and the math gets better and better, the Republicans have learned how to gerrymander significantly better. So in the House, what has happened is we have created and Mike can speak a little bit more to the specifics as a member of leadership, but there has been an approved preliminary map that it creates far more Voting Rights Act opportunity districts where traditional underrepresented minorities, African Americans, and Latinos have an easier opportunity to win a seat. Number one, they've dramatically reduced the number of municipal splits, cutting up a city or a town or a borough in multiple places as population filler or to dilute the Democratic vote. That has been dramatically reduced. And it's a much, much, much fairer map. So the House maps are not perfect. There are some things that, frankly, I would have done differently. I think Mike would have done differently. And there still can be tweaked. But at the end of the day, the House maps are pretty fair. Senate side, I frankly think what they did in the Lehigh Valley is terrible. I've been public about that. And insofar as cutting up Allentown, cutting up Bethlehem, creating a not actually VRA Voting Rights Act districts, it has been terrible. So the Senate maps are really bad, and I'm hoping that there's an opportunity for them to get changed. But in the chamber in which I serve, the House maps give us a much fairer playing field and are far more constitutionally defendable than they ever were before. So I'll stop talking, Mike.
All right, thanks, Pete. Folks, I'm gonna give I'm gonna go a little bit more into depth on what this redistricting actually means in the House. I can't quite speak to the Senate quite as coherently. Here's what I can tell you. As Pete alluded to, the maps were approved by a 3-2 vote. That occurred a few weeks ago, kicking off a 30-day public comment period that ends in a couple of weeks. So the Legislative Redistricting Commission, and let me just clarify this too, this is only at the state level. The federal redistricting is actually done by the standard legislative process. So the House and the Senate, governor signs or vetoes it. If there's no map, probably winds up with the Supreme Court, we think. But in the legislative level, there's a commission of 5, House, Senate, Democrat, Republican leader, and the 5th member, who is obviously the swing vote. Typically, what happens is the 5th member is appointed by the Supreme Court. Well, this time, for the first time in decades, the Democrats control the Supreme Court and appointed a much fairer individual. And just to be clear, I actually mean fair. I don't mean flaming partisan, because this guy has been very, very clear. We are not dealing with a mirror image of the 5th person that Republicans had a decade ago. We've got somebody who unquestionably, Kim, I'm actually going to be talking about that. That is what happened with the maps 10 years ago created one of the worst redistricts in the country. So the current map that was approved by a 3-2 vote is a much more fair one. Now, this is one That Senate map was approved by a 5-0 vote. The House map was approved by a 3-2 vote. The 2 Democrats and the 5th member of the commission, Judge Nordenberg, voting yes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the map and what it does. Now, the changes in Northampton, there were some substantial changes. I would make the argument the Lehigh County changes were much more substantial. First of all, looking at the city of Allentown. Right now, the city of Allentown is exclusively represented by myself and by Pete. Pete has 100% of the city. I have about 80, 85%. And I have 3 precincts in South Whitehall Township next door. It actually takes the city and it gives us 3 representatives. Now, why did this happen and is it a good thing? I will fight anybody that's unquestionably a good thing. And it happened because of growth. Lehigh County grew 6%. It was actually the 3rd fastest growing county in the entire Commonwealth. In fact, a big part of the reason why Democrats are in such a better position in Pennsylvania is because the redistricting, that the population gains that occurred, they occurred in Democratic districts. City of Allentown grew 6%. Did I get that right? Okay.
Yep.
City of Allentown grew 6%. South Whitehall Township grew 10%. Upper McCounty Township grew by 1/3 in a decade. So what happened? Well, there's 3 seats in Allentown now. The western part of the city is still going to be represented by me. My seat expanded. I lost the northern tier and the east side. I now went west. So I have all of South Whitehall and 3/8 of South Whitehall of Upper McCounty Township.
Mike, can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
I want to point out when Mike says he represents, he will represent once the maps are actually final. I know it sounds like a weird technicality, but the district that I currently represent doesn't become, quote, official for a couple more weeks. That matters because when we go to knock on doors, when we're calling our constituents, when we're reaching out to them, that will change potentially in a matter of weeks. And so I just want to be very clear about that this is, and that's part 1. And part 2, these maps are still subject to potential change, which is what I was trying to say earlier, and I don't think I did a particularly good job of it, that over the course of the next couple of weeks, there very well may be changes. I don't think, at least on the House side, there's going to be wholesale changes, but precincts, a few precincts here or there may move. And I don't know what they are. Mike doesn't know what they are, but they're not final. They're proposed right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, what he said is correct. So I'm just giving an overview of where we're at right now. The final vote will happen probably within the next 2 weeks. From there, there's an additional 30 days for court challenges. Those court challenges will be accelerated, and hopefully we'll get petition season at the back end of February. I wouldn't be surprised if petitions with a primary get bumped back a little bit.
Agreed.
So anyway,
I have a question.
so,
If challenged, what do you think? What do you think the chances are?
I'm sorry, say again?
Challenged, what do you think the chances are?
Of the map being upheld?
Or disavowed?
I think the House map is far more defensible than the Senate map. The House map, by every metric, does a much better job of keeping communities together. And I'll use Lehigh County as an example. So the old Gary Day seat went into Lehigh and Berks County. It's now just got Lehigh County. Nobody in Lehigh County goes into Berks, and the only Lehigh County person that crosses is Northampton. And there's a lot of other examples of this. From a statewide perspective, it's actually even more impactful because the new House map reflects a growing population in the cities and creates like 7 or 8 new majority-minority districts, and even more what they're referring to as minority opportunity districts. I think the House map is much more defensible. The Senate map, the chief complaints that I've heard at the statewide level actually have to do with the 16th and the 14th Senate district, which I think are pretty.
And the 18th.
Which one's the 18th, yeah. I think those are some pretty egregious examples of gerrymandering and unnecessarily splitting communities. The Pennsylvania Constitution requires that districts be compact and limit municipal splits, and that communities of interest are kept together. When you chop Allentown and Bethlehem in half for virtually, no reason, you create problems. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Let me finish going over the map, and then Pete and I will happy to answer questions. And let me try to go through this quickly. Gary Day and Ryan McKenzie have become bunkmates, as we like to say. So the 134th district is now, Pete right now represents the 22nd district. The 134th district is kind of what becomes Pete's district. So Pete's district, where he physically resides, is South Allentown, Emmaus, and a couple of precincts in Salisbury. Ryan McKenzie's district then gets absorbed into Gary Day's district. Gary Day's district is Lower Macungie, the other half of Upper Macungie, Albertus, and Northwest Lehigh. So Weisenberg, Lynn, Heidelberg, that area. But as I said, Representative Day is completely out of Berks County. There's that. Jeannie McNeil's district gets tweaked but not changed. The biggest problem with Jeannie's district is she seems to have one random precinct in North Whitehall of the 6. It makes no sense, and hopefully we can get that addressed. Zach Mako's district, Zach Mako loses all of South Whitehall and Whitehall, gets the Slate Belt and North Whitehall. Northampton, there's a few interesting things too. Samuelson and Freeman's districts were relatively unchanged. The biggest change in Northampton, and potentially a very, very impactful one, is what happened to Joe Emmerich's district. So it was brought, I guess it would be west, and lost some of the Slate Belt. The result of that is Ann Flood's district gets more Republican, but Joe Emmerich's district is actually now a majority Democrat district. So
Yep, it's a coin flip.
Let me click on my statistics button here. So Pete,
Wait, you have a statistics button?
I'm looking at Dave. The website is davesredistricting.org. It's an amazing website for those of you.
Yeah, but I just want to make fun of you for having a statistics button.
Fair enough.
Okay.
The 131st district, which is currently the Malou-McKenzie seat, the district changes a little bit, but the partisan composition of it doesn't change. It's now Republican +7. But the advantage for Kevin Bronco is it now includes Heller. So that's good. My district actually gets substantially less Democrat. I go from a Democrat plus was like 35 to Democrat plus 16. To be clear, I'm not complaining. And by the way, at least at the House level, these are good math. We get a new representative in Allentown. It's a good deal. Jeannie's district is now Democrat plus 12. The new 134th Peach district is Democrat plus 25. Stephen
Hey,
Bob-
Mike.
That's ridiculous.
Mike, can I just interrupt you for a second so
Please.
everyone understands? When you're saying Democrat plus 12, that you mean that there's 12% more Democrats than Republicans?
On average, and thank you for clarifying, Kathy.
Okay.
Thank you for making me clarify. I'm actually not, I'm referring to the average performance of the district, which is basically how the average Democrat did over the past 4 years. I'm not referring to registration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Even I didn't
registration and
understand that.
performance are very, thanks for making me speak better.
How could that be possible?
Oh, I'm sure there's a few ways.
I can give them some ideas.
Different story. 137th district, which is the Emmerich district, that is now Democrat +1. That's a huge shift from where Joe Emmerich used to be versus where it is right now, because it loses a lot of the Slate Belt and gets a lot of, like, I want to say Bethlehem Township in that area.
It's got the rest of Nazareth. It combined the 3 Nazareth and it grabs Hanover Township, Mike.
Yeah.
Or at least big chunks of Hanover Township. And whereas I don't want to step on anybody's thunder, I think we're going to have an outstanding candidate there.
Absolutely. And the other one that is now, that it's a gettable area now, is actually that Gary Day, Ryan McKenzie. It's the 187th. It's currently represented by Gary Day. The performance there is Republican +6. Now, the reason for that is Lower Macungie and Upper Macungie are the geographic and population both of that district, and they are both trending our way. So those are going to be areas that I think we're going to have a shot at long term, and that's really good news. In a nutshell, I think that's the House. The Senate, like I said, the Senate I'm not as familiar with. I am a member of the House, a member of House leadership. My primary goal has been to try to make sure that the House maps are cared for and that Lehigh County is cared for. However, I think we can all agree what happened with the Senate was a pretty clear example of partisan gerrymandering. It took the 14th Senate district, which is in the northeastern part of the state, and dropped it in to Lehigh and Northampton counties, splitting Allentown and Bethlehem in half. Somebody made a comment in here that it splits the Bethlehem area school district in half. It does, which is terrible. It also splits the Allentown school district in half. So you've got the 2 core school districts in the Lehigh Valley that are now split in half. The 16th Senate district is one very small section of the 13th ward of Allentown where Senator Brown lives, the 17th ward, the 18th ward of Allentown, and then west and south into Berks County. The
So
14th,
they did that to protect Pat Brown's seat.
Yeah.
And so now we've got people in Berks County that are going to be in charge of inner city Allentown schools.
yes, or the other way
Mike,
around.
if I can I interject?
Yeah.
Because I only have a few minutes and I really got a boogie, and I do apologize. The 16th Senate District, from a geographic standpoint, includes William Allen High School and Roadside America. It includes the Allentown Fairgrounds and Cabela's. It includes Lehigh Valley Hospital on 17th Street, and it includes the Bally Hotel. It includes the Allentown School District and a majority-minority section of Allentown. The school district being, 82% kids of color. And it includes the Hamburg area school district, which is 93% white. And, listen, I don't pretend to be anything other than an Allentown kid. And when I can't eat at Union and Finch, which is right off 15th Street in Allentown, and be in the same Senate district as where I live, half a mile away, there's something dramatically wrong with it. Furthermore, the quote unquote new district that the Lehigh Valley would get, which is being proposed to be relocated from Luzerne County, is some people are saying it's a 55% Democratic performance. It's not. It's about 51.5% Democratic performance in a normal year. And with the headwinds that we're facing, we probably lose it. Now, we're not supposed to take partisan splits in on redistricting conversations. Fine, I can do that. Splitting Allentown, splitting off many of the Allentown suburbs, it just doesn't make any sense. Furthermore, in order to get it slightly more minority voters, it's not a majority minority district. They grab West Bethlehem. And they grabbed Fountain Hill from the Bethlehem School District, along with Hanover Township in Northampton County. It's an absurd map. It looks like an upside down traffic cone, starting in Emmaus and Salisbury and jetting up into bordering Monroe and Carbon counties. It's an absurd district. But more absurd is the crab claw that is the Pat Brown seat, starting in the west end of Allentown and going north and south, but not including the city of Reading. So the geography of the districts is really just a remarkable sense in creative redistricting, and it really feels like an art project more than it does actual.
So let me just say, we got to cut to the chase, Pete. You got to go, all that stuff, and we have other things. But what I just want to ask is, is there anything we can do? I know that we had the letter campaign going. So what I want from you now is an action step for our group.
The redistrict. Go ahead, Mike.
The public comment. He said it, but we were both starting to say it. The public comment is, and submitted public comment is useful. Chairman Nordenberg, we've been told, was pretty receptive to public comments. I certainly, make no guarantees, but I do think the public comment, especially as it deals with the Senate, is something that can be useful, especially because this is a pressure point. And let me answer Nancy's question down below, because that's actually where I was going. Nancy, the final maps will be presented and then voted on at some point within the next 2 weeks. At that point, there will be court challenges. And then we go, as long as the maps are upheld by the state Supreme Court, which I anticipate they will be, we wind up running in them. So the answer is less than 2 weeks. And if somebody would be, posting the link about where you can make public comment, I think that's something that can absolutely be helpful.
I'm going to make it a little bit easier.
Sorry guys, I know that we have Congressman Connor Lamb is here. He has to get off at 7 o'clock, and I wanted to give him 5 minutes to speak.
Connor, good seeing you.
Sorry, Congressman.
No problem, fellas. It's very fun and entertaining to listen to the two of you.
Right, they're like a comedy team. And if you guys could put the link in the chat, if you could put the link where people can write the comments in the chat, that would be great.
Also, follow
Turn PA
Blue. They're doing that stuff too.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, because I definitely want to give Congressman Lamb the floor. I apologize for taking a little into it, but absolutely go ahead.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Best to you all. Thank you for your flexibility. Bye, Connor.
Yep. All right.
All good.
floor is
Hi,
yours.
everybody. Thank you for inviting me on, and appreciate the work you do, especially on this redistricting stuff. We're going to just have to fight it out, and there is a big possibility there of making some gains in the state legislature. So we need you. I'm in the Senate primary. I think you all know that. What I would offer to you about my candidacy is I just think I bring more direct experience than any other candidates in running against Republicans, especially on their own turf or in unfavorable situations, which I think 2022 is going to be a tough campaign year. If you think about how 2021 looked and just the general pattern of running in a president's first midterm year, 22 is going to be tough. And I have run in that situation 3 times against Republicans in Republican districts and won. Each time President Trump has come to my district and campaigned against me personally by name, sent the family members, the cabinet officials, everybody. They've probably spent close to $50 million against me on the air, attacking me every which way. So I'm a candidate. You're not going to find out anything new about me in this race. I've been tested. And what I've done with my job in Congress really is to vote on every important Democratic issue that you can think of. While we've been in the majority in the House of Representatives, we have voted to raise the minimum wage and protect a woman's right to choose by putting Roe v. Wade into law, and protect unions and protect voting rights, and gun safety legislation. And obviously we voted for and passed Build Back Better in addition to the infrastructure bill, drug price bargaining, protecting Social Security and Medicare. I mean, the list goes on and on. I've been for that. I've voted for it already. And so, if you're burned out on Manchin and Sinema, and you want to make sure that the next senator you have is someone that you understand how they're going to vote, what you have with me is someone who has already voted on a lot of these things and would vote the same way as the senator. So, I think I offer you somebody who can win in November, not just in the primary, and then really do the job that you're expecting. The Senate and Pete and Mike will tell you this too. It's the same way in Harrisburg. It's a lot about teamwork and having the attitude and temperament of being able to work with other people, be able to work with people within your own party across the aisle. You got to put your ego aside sometimes to get to the votes that you need, but it's still doable in this environment. I do think we should set aside the filibuster in the Senate, especially to pass the John Lewis voting rights bill, but really for so many of these important issues. So that's something I would be a vote for as well. And I think I can offer you a campaign that can go the distance here. So we have a few minutes. I don't mind being late to my next thing. If anybody has any questions at all or feedback, or if you even want to just name an issue that you want me to talk about, it's up to you, Dave, of course, how much time you want to give me. So I'll throw the floor back to you.
Yeah. No, that's totally great. I apologize for holding you a little bit over. I'll ask if we maybe have time for one question or something like that, or a clarification if anyone wants to raise their hand. Yeah, go ahead, Kathy.
Kathy, you think?
Well, okay. So one of the things I'm hearing about, when people say whether or not they're going to vote for you is they're wondering why you voted for the wall, for building the wall. Now, maybe we're wrong about that. So can you talk to us about that vote for building the wall back when, Trump was in charge?
That was my question too.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. And I'd have to know which vote you're referring to, but I think I'm right about this. In general, we voted to continue the same border security programs that we had under Obama, under Trump, in which there was some fencing and sort of basic border measures. What Trump did was then go and steal money from the Department of Defense accounts that was not intended for the wall, and use it to build the wall. And the reason he did that is because we wouldn't give him the additional money that he wanted. So, so I'm not exactly sure what they're referring to, but I think what I did was basically in line with what the rest of our party was thinking at that time. And if I'm wrong about that and someone wants to point out a specific vote for me, I'd be happy to follow.
So you weren't shaking pom-poms for the wall then?
No, I mean, like I said,
okay.
For a long time, we've used fencing and walls, even under Obama, but it was Trump's escalation of that most of us opposed, and that was why he had to steal the money from another source.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. If there's anyone else that has an additional question or comment, otherwise I know he needs to get going for another county meeting.
Yeah, sure thing. And I saw somebody wanted contact information. I don't know if any of my staff is still on here or not, so I'm just going to put one person's email address here in the chat, which is DJ Ryan, my deputy campaign manager. So you can always find us at our website in a bunch of different ways, but feel free to reach out to DJ if you ever need us. And thank you guys for letting me come on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we so appreciate you coming by.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. All right. So yeah, thank you. Thank you, Connor, for coming out, and thank you for the flexibility, both to Mike and Pete, if they're still on here. So we have a few other really good candidates that are here running as well. I believe we were going to have Malcolm Kenyatta here to speak. Is he on?
Dave, if Lehigh Valley for All is doing something, you know I'm on and I'm there. So yeah, I'm on.
I didn't even need to
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I just want to give you the floor, and hopefully, let's see. I don't know if is there a way to give the spotlight over to him here? There we go. All right. All right.
Just as bright as ever. Well, first of all, let me say thank you so much, and so excited to be here. And thank you for just continually being so engaged. It matters more than you know, because I'm up here in Harrisburg right now. And one of the things I know is that my colleagues feel like they can get away with bad stuff because they think in many cases you're not paying attention. And you all ensure that folks in your community are paying attention. So I just want to start with that bit of thanks. I think in this election, we have to answer a very serious question and a very simple question. Who do we think government should work for? I think government should work for working families like mine and for working families like yours. I was raised by a mom who was a home health care aide, and my dad was a social worker. They divorced when I was pretty young. And so what that meant for me is that I lived 6 different places by the time I graduated high school. I actually got my first job at the age of 12, working at a little vegan soul food restaurant, washing dishes to help my mom pay the bills. I went to a school that wasn't funded in the way that it ought to been. And for me, many cases, my primary care physician was whoever the heck was on call at the emergency room. And I actually buried both of my parents by the time I was 27, simply because they didn't have healthcare. And when I think about watching my mom ration her insulin, or the struggle that it took for me and for my neighbors who I now get to represent as their representative, it is crystal clear that Washington is broken. And I don't think the way we fix a broken system is by re-electing the same old people. I think we need to fundamentally change the Senate. And to do that, turns out you have to change the senators. And with your help, hopefully, because I'm going to do everything I can to earn your support, when I'm in the US Senate, you will know that you have a senator who understands in their bones and has real skin in the game on all of the issues that are facing working Pennsylvanians, from Philly to Oiltown to Allentown to Scranton to Pittsburgh and everywhere in between. And that's why we've built the type of campaign that we've built, with this idea of we go everywhere, talk to everybody, and talk to them about the real issues that I intimately know. If I'm elected to the US Senate, I promise you, the moment I'm on the floor and my hand is raised to take the oath of office, it's going to be a much, much different place. And Lord knows, on voting rights, on women's rights, on climate change, we need the Senate to be a much different place than it is right now. And so I'll stop there, and would just love to spend as much time as possible for any questions that you have, for as long as you're willing to have me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, do we have anyone that has any questions?
This is not a shy group, so I know that you do.
Yeah, we have Patricia Russo.
Hey,
Go ahead.
this is Pat Russo. I want to thank you, Malcolm, for bringing to attention in the 2020 election what was going on in our state about what I would call voter nullification. So after the fact, so I want to thank you. You brought that up to national attention. I admire that and wish you all the best on this.
Well, I want to thank you too. And let me just say, I think that what you bring up really matters. I think in a moment like this that is so unprecedented, and you see these horrific and consistent attacks against our democracy, there's a bill right now that's moving for folks who haven't been tuned into what's happening here in Harrisburg, where Republicans basically want to get a second bite at the apple and completely upend the way we do redistricting, because they don't feel like the seats are gerrymandered enough in their favor, even though experts have said this map actually helps Republicans maybe by a percentage point or two, but that's not good enough for them. There has been this approach that might equals right, that if they can ram it through and do it, then they ought to do it. And so I do think it matters that you have somebody who hasn't just voted the right way on things that you care about, but who actually has a record of having to beat back Republican legislative efforts.
Well, which I
And
thought,
I've been the person who's been doing that on so many issues. And you know, even though we're running this campaign, I am Democratic chair of our subcommittee on campaign finance and elections, and so I have an important job that I do every single day to make sure the right to vote is protected, and that we don't allow any of this nonsense on our watch. And thank you so much again for being engaged and involved, because that is how we stop them from doing what they wanted to do with the election integrity committee, is what they were calling that one.
thank you. I really appreciate it as an American and a voter. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
All right. So we're noticing a bit of a lack of enthusiasm in across the board with volunteers, and I think they're burned out, and I think they're discouraged, you know, and they're worried about COVID and stuff. Do you have any secret sauce kind of remedies that you can think of to energize our volunteers and our voters in this next cycle?
I do. I think the secret sauce is making sure I'm the Democratic nominee. Because genuinely, we know, and this is historical and statistically significant, the drop in turnout among Black voters, among young voters, among low propensity suburban voters is real. Midterm elections, more than anything else, are turnout elections. And listen, I believe strongly, and I think I heard Congressman Lamb say it, that we need to have a campaign that can go all the way and that can do what we need to do. And I will tell you, when President Biden was sending me to rural Iowa and to rural South Carolina and all across the country, I think he likes me. You know, he asked me to come to the White House when he signed the bipartisan infrastructure deal, and you know, I've been there multiple times, engaged with him on these issues and folks in Washington. But I don't think he was asking me to come because he liked me. I think the campaign thought that we were effective at engaging voters who don't often see themselves represented.
Yeah.
We are a party that believes in diversity and equity and standing up for working people. And I feel strongly that we have to actually elect the people we say we're fighting for. If we want people to be engaged, it's not good enough to say, hey, you're good enough to show up to vote, but you can't actually fight for yourself. People are in this because they understand themselves what it means to not be able to go to a doctor, or go to the doctor and then you leave and you can't fill the darn prescription, or terrified out of your mind that your kid is going to get COVID, or that there's going to be an active shooter, or looking at your property tax bill and saying, what the heck, I can't even afford to stay in the house I raised my kids in. Mm-hmm. And what we need in this moment is not just a spokesperson for those concerns. We need somebody who intimately understands those concerns. And that's why I'm in this race. And that's why I think you do see the consistent engagement among folks in your groups. I don't want to speak for you, but I think you are all involved because there's something you care about in people who you love, who you would go to bat for, and you see them getting a raw deal. I think in this moment, we have a chance to make history. Mm-hmm. If I am elected, let's be very clear, I'll be the first person of color to ever run for the US Senate in Pennsylvania ever. And obviously would be only the 12th African-American ever elected to the Senate, the first openly gay man ever elected to the Senate, and the first to run in American history. And so if we want some excitement. I think the most exciting thing is for people to see somebody not just talking about working families, but to see somebody from a working family talking intimately about our experience.
Yeah, very good.
Kathy,
Awesome.
this is
Thank you
Kathy
so much.
Ford. Can I ask a question, David? It's Kathy Ford on Mary's computer.
Sure. Yeah, we just want to make it a little quick because we do have a couple other folks that I'm sure that Malcolm has a lot of other places that he also needs. Sure, he's zooming all over the state. So
and it looks like Amber also has a question. So we'll have those two questions.
Yeah, can we just ask them back to back? If it's okay, I'll answer them as one little chunk to be respectful of other people you need to hear from.
Sure.
Okay.
Malcolm, appreciate it. Real quick. Connor was just on, and it seems like most of the Democrats in our state have voted the same way. My concern is being able to win the state of Pennsylvania to get Pat Toomey's seat. I mean, being a person from the queer community, I'd be thrilled to see you there. I just want to make sure we have a Democrat there. So that's my concern. What makes you stand out amongst whoever's there who are going to be voting similar to what you say you'll be voting?
Okay, thank you. I got that one. And then let me get the second one and I'll respond to both and wrap up.
Amber?
I apologize. This was a two-parter, so you can take it as you will.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
The Senate seems to be very gridlocked, and it seems very difficult to get anything to pass, and the Republicans just seem awful to work with. So two-parters, how are you going to deal with the Republicans, but also how are you going to keep yourself motivated? Because I think that is one of the most important things, is knowing how our candidates self-motivate so that they can get through those hard times.
Well, first of all, thank you both for that question. And they were separate questions, but I think in some way they're the same question of how do we win and how do we keep the energy to win. I think a part of why I talk about so much having skin in the game is because I'm in this election knowing that there are people who I love more than anything in this world who are dealing with some what feels so often like intractable problems because the Senate has been so gridlocked. And so when we talk about wanting to win this seat, I will tell you, there's nobody wants to win this seat more than me, because what happens or doesn't happen is going to matter for folks like in the Fair Hill section of my district, where the average annual income is $9,700 and something bucks, where most people are working a regular, maybe part-time job and a part of the gig economy as well, and are still not able to get by. Whether or not we get this pandemic under control and kids are able to get back into school in a safe way, in a consistently safe way, that matters to kids in my district who were already disadvantaged because of the lack of resources in their schools and are now facing increased learning loss because they're not in the classroom, where we know that is where kids learn best. And whether we talk about healthcare or housing or anything else, Nancy Pelosi said something that I think is fundamentally true. Our diversity is our strength and our unity is our power. We have built a coalition that's not just made up of Black folks, not just made up of queer folks, not just made up of people from Philadelphia, but a coalition that represents every single corner of the Commonwealth, and that is talking about things that people care about in every single community, because that's what we need to do in this moment where we are really at a crossroads. And I think what we do next is for all the marbles. If we are going to fundamentally change the Senate, we have to change our senators. If we are going to win in a moment where people have lost faith in traditional politicians, folks who've had this job to get this job to get that job, I think people are sick of that. And what people want is somebody who represents a fresh vision and who's going to be able to get things done. And anybody in Harrisburg will tell you, I am not a safe harbor for nonsense, but I look for every opportunity to get things done with my colleagues where we can. And we've been able to do that on bills like Phillips Law, which President Biden, I told him about this at a campaign event, and he actually put it in his platform. I introduced that bill to the Republican, introduced legislation Republican around criminal justice reform and cybersecurity. And so we have to work with people every chance we can, but also not be afraid to push back and to absolutely beat them when they're doing things that are going to hurt working families. And that's what I'm prepared to do in this race, because it matters to your family and it matters to my family. So I just want to thank you again for having me, for your attention, for your questions. And I really look forward to doing everything I can to try to earn your support.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for answering the questions we had.
Happy to do it always. Thank you, everybody.
All right. See you later, Malcolm. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I think I don't know if I see Brian Sims on here. Is there somebody here on behalf of Brian? He said he might be a little late, I think, right? Is that, I think I recall that. But we have other candidates that are on. We have someone who's running for state senate. So unless I hear a big hello from a Brian Sims, I want to introduce Mark Pinsley. Mark, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Wow. You know, actually, I think I'm glad I'm going before Brian. He's a really good speaker. So my name is Mark Pinsley. I'm running for state senate. I ran for state senate before, back in 2018, just narrowly lost it to Pat Brown. It was about 1,500 votes, actually. And so right now I'm running against him again. I'm drawn into the 16th with him. I will admit that I'm hoping that they close the Allentown hole that's in there that Mike and Pete were talking about, and that we're actually running in the same district, which seems like a possibility. One of the things that I have seen in the redistricting is one of the puts that they have been saying, the reason that they're trying to keep incumbency is so that they can have a district that has no incumbent in it, so that anybody has a chance to win. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's what they're saying. The number one thing for me, quite honestly, is democracy. You know, I'm very worried about democracy and us having a democracy after 2 or 3 more elections. You know, we've seen here in Pennsylvania, and I think Kenyatta started to talk about it, like there's an Arizona style audit that they're trying to accomplish. Right now, Josh Shapiro is fighting that. They've asked for all the voting records, for our driver's licenses, for our social security numbers, et cetera. And these are the things that we have to fight against. And you get to fight against that in the Senate. You know, and as Pete had said, or Mike had said, you know, that we haven't held the Senate since 1984, I believe. And we actually now have a chance to do that. You know, there's a real possibility that we could flip the Senate with these maps. You know, some of the other reasons that I'm concerned about democracy, like they recently had judicial gerrymandering that they talked about. I don't know if everybody remembers that. They're currently looking at racial gerrymandering, which I'll talk about shortly. Seth Grove, as Kenyatta had mentioned, put together a bill where they're trying to put together a new redistricting committee that is partisan, that the leadership gets to select rather than having 2 Dems, 2 Republicans, and an independent. But I think probably the thing that I'm most concerned about is making sure that we as Democrats work together and figure out some of this infighting, frankly. I need to just mention quickly, you know, our 2 reps recently put out a press release about me because they were worried about a word that I used to describe the Republicans. The word was ghetto. Basically, what I said is that the Republicans are trying to create a ghetto by combining Allentown and Bethlehem into one big district. And, you know, look, you know, I'm a person of Jewish faith. I am very attuned to efforts to segregate and isolate members of certain communities. And they seem to have taken the word to imply racial or economic insensitivity. And that couldn't be the further from the truth. Like, the fact of the matter is Lehigh Valley needs to be together. You know, Allentown should be in our district fully. Bethlehem should be in their district fully. And, you know, perhaps there is a better word, but I really wanted to indicate how diabolical what the GOP is trying to do. So the current map that they have proposed looks like volcano, a tornado pulling us into Northampton. But what the Republican leadership is talking about right now is getting rid of their current proposal and putting together all of Allentown and all of Bethlehem into one single district. So what would this mean? This would mean that, the money for infrastructure, it wouldn't be split. There wouldn't be two different senators that have money, and one senator isn't going to get more. They're going to starve this new district. That's the goal. It also reduces the number of blue seats that we have. Right now, we have a swing seat in Northampton, and we have a blue seat in Allentown. So what ends up happening is if you push the two seats together, the Latino or minority vote gets weaker. And so I want to make sure that that doesn't happen. And for those of us who understand that the Republicans, at least the leadership, has become almost white supremacists, I think that the word ghetto from a Jewish perspective is kind of on the mark. If you guys don't agree, I'm going to put out the video. You guys can take a look, see whether or not you think I'm off base here. But I really believe that the Republicans are trying to do something that's pretty diabolical and that we need to make sure that we're focused on. I know that Kathy had mentioned earlier getting online and submitting comments. I want to let you know that me and a bunch of people have been working together to get that to happen. So far, we have 123 complaints that have been filed around this. That's just on the Senate side, not in the House side. I think in total, there's like over 300 complaints on both sides of the House, both the House and the Senate map, and some other things, but 120 some here on the Senate side. Beyond that, I do want to talk a couple other things, like some of the things that I'm interested in, criminal justice. You'll see that, as a controller, I've done work on trying to get prisoner phone calls either for free or at cost. Right now, the county takes about 70% of the prisoner phone calls. Last year, we made $750,000 in commissions off of prisoners. That's just their phone calls. We also, healthcare is a huge issue for me. One of the things that we did last year was we did an audit of healthcare, and we found that the county overspent by $3 million out of a $7 million pharmacy spend. And while that's amazing that we can save that at the county level, there's even more available at the state level. It's the same issue. It's around pharmacy. We're paying too much for pharmacy goods. And then lastly, obviously criminal justice reform, more generally speaking, not just going out, making sure that people aren't arrested for marijuana, but rather that people are taken to task, for wage theft. And it's been in the paper more and more recently where you're seeing like Giant and other large organizations are not properly paying their staff. So, you can imagine sort of a contractor, who does the work and then the person that he's working for chooses not to pay him on the last day or chooses not to pay him on the last week or paid that person under the minimum wage. This is a regular occurrence here in Pennsylvania, and we should be paying more attention to it and making sure these people get paid what they're supposed to be paid. There's lots of other things to talk about. I wanted to bring that together. Democracy is top on my list right now. I'm very concerned about it, and I will do anything to make sure that we save democracy. And I will take any questions.
I'm muted. Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it. Amber,
Sure.
Go ahead.
Hi, Mark. So you're running in my area. Pat Brown currently represents me, unfortunately. So I was just wondering, my big issue, I guess, right now is also democracy, but security. So when our governor's ability to declare emergency disaster and to help us through the pandemic was stripped, I felt very scared. I don't think we're doing a good job right now mitigating COVID. I think it is running rampant, not that I think it is. So how are you going to help to kind of restore that ability to the governor? Because I do think that is something that's very important that needs to be used in emergencies. It did a lot for our local businesses, it did a lot for just in general. I
think it's a great question. I think the problem, of course, is that we need to either get some of the Republicans on board and voting against that and restoring that, or we need to flip the House and the Senate. I will say that the House maps, as Pete and Mike indicated, really do look like we're in a position maybe not to take the majority, but to get close. And the state Senate maps are so convoluted right now. I don't know where it is, but frankly, we only need 4 seats to flip the US Senate. I mean, the state Senate, excuse me. And if we did that, we could restore these powers. I am actually with you. I do not understand why they took that away. It's just it's an easy way for them to blame whoever the governor is anyway. Like, why take that away? Did that answer? I'm sorry.
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay. I mean, basically, I'm a vote to, I am a vote amongst others that would be used in order to restore his power, his emergency power.
Is there anything else that you could do besides restoring the emergency power? Let's say that that's not feasible. Is there something else you can do to restore security in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so we have to look through different aspects. Like, one of the things that we saw that Biden did was, he started looking for alternative ways of getting things done. I don't have enough knowledge right now of the different laws that exist, but I would absolutely start going through them to see, are there alternative ways of accomplishing the same thing and basically getting around the emergency power, which is what Biden did, when they voted against him.
Thank you.
I wish I had an easy answer.
Oftentimes, yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anyone else that has any questions?
I apologize. I can't see if you're waving or anything like that.
I just wanted to say that Nancy Mernon asked me to reshare the information. So I resent to her, the website you can go to and what's been going on and some talking points that you can put in a letter. And if anybody else wants me to reshare that, the Lehigh Valley for All sent that out back on January the 2nd.
Put it in the chat again, Kathy.
Put what in the chat? I don't know how to do that.
The district, the link's in the chat.
Just the link. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put the link in the chat.
I think
did.
Sergio put it in there.
Yeah, you did it. You're going to put it in the chat.
I did.
If you have not,
Okay.
if you have not commented yet, it really is important to comment. I mean, I think that 100 and some comments just here in the Lehigh Valley is pretty impressive. And the more that we can do, the more they are likely to look. I think that the biggest person to target at this moment is the independent Mark Norenberg, in terms of trying to have Allentown rebuilt and put back together again. And if you wrote one already, feel free to write again.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I wanted to also mention that Norit, who is on as well, is my campaign manager. So she will be helping me, with calls and all that kind of stuff and managing incoming stuff. So I'll have her put my link in and her email in and my email in and all that kind of good stuff. I really appreciate your guys' time, and thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay. All right. We have Brian Sims on?
No, I think there was a mix up in his schedule. I just texted them and they said that they didn't realize it was tonight. They were thinking they were coming on at the February 1st meeting. So.
Got it. Well, you'll have to wait, everyone, to hear from him then.
It's only 3 weeks away. You can do it.
That's true. That's true. This is a short one. This is a short in between. Are there any other people here who are running as candidates in 2022? You can unmute or raise your hand. Okay. All right. Well, if I did miss anybody, let me know. We can try to get you at some of the future meetings. I know with the way that the districts are right now, people don't necessarily, if they're running into an open seat or something like that, don't want to put their name out there yet because maybe their house will be slightly redistricted out of it or something. So I'm hoping we get finalizations. I'm hoping we get fair finalizations, and then we can get some more folks who are hopping into these races. Okay, So with that, not that the Senate and everything is not important, but the most important races, the president and treasurer of Lehigh Valley for All elections are coming up. So democracy may yet hang in the balance. But I think we have a good crew of folks who are stepping up to run for these positions. And I want to open up the floor to someone who has expressed her interest in running for president. And if anyone else is on the call and says, oh, I kind of wanted to throw my hat in as well, by all means, raise your hand or send me a thing in the chat and I'll get you some time to speak as well. But I wanted to open up the floor for Amber Stern.
Yay!
Amber, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amber and I'm running for president, like Dave said. Most of you know me through volunteering, organizing with Lehigh Valley for All back in the Biden campaign. I did join Lehigh Valley for All in the spring of 2020. And I jumped right into helping volunteers find their volunteer packets. I ran a weekly phone banking session, and I helped new volunteers find out what their passion was for volunteering. So since then, I have joined the board and I have been attending board meetings so that I can learn more about Lehigh Valley for All and ways that I can stay active, because I'm really passionate about being active and helping the progressives move forward. So I'm committed to helping Lehigh Valley for All continue its goals of advancing progressive values within our community. I believe the path forward is electing candidates who share those values. As I still feel new to this organization, Ginny Atwell, hi Ginny, has agreed to help and support me as an aide. So I won't be running alone because I believe her knowledge of the organization history is very important to help us go forward. I don't believe in someone to abandon the organization's past. I think that we need to keep using things that have worked from the past, and she has more of that knowledge so that we can help grow this organization. So thank you so much for your time. I'm a little bit nervous, but thank you for considering me.
Yay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amber.
Presidential. I want you to know that.
What?
You look so presidential. I want.
She does.
Doesn't she?
Not that it matters how you look to be the president.
Yeah.
Obviously, look at the last president. So
I didn't want to say that.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Amber. Is there anyone else that would be interested? Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, if anyone is listening to this later and wants to, put something in, let us know. We are going to be putting out the polls for voting probably in the next day or so. So let me know relatively quickly. Not that Amber isn't fantastic, but I know we always strive to get as above board as we can with everything. So thank you so much, everybody. The next person we have up, because Jim has dealt with the IRS long enough. We have a brave soul running for treasurer, and that is Norit. Norit, do you want to take? Oh, did she have to hop off, or is she still on?
no, she's here.
All right,
I'm
Norit,
here.
the floor is yours.
Hi. There's like this thing going across my face in my view of me. There it goes. Okay, so hi, I'm Norit, and I'm currently the secretary. So I think I'd like to move on to treasurer for a little bit of change. And I served as treasurer to Tara Zarinsky in her 2021 win in Northampton County. And I got all the books right. Everything was perfect and good to the penny. So I'm happy to throw my hat in to be a treasurer. That's it.
All right.
I think
awesome.
also you're going to have the support of Jim as you go forward and try to make sure. I mean, he's not just going to leave the country with all of our money. Yeah.
No,
I will
I'm available to
That would
whoever,
not be a lot of
whoever's-
money to leave the country with. I spend more on
He doesn't have enough.
I can make it to Freemansburg.
right.
Yeah, Jim will be helping you
Yep.
Yeah, Jim, will-
Yeah.
Jim is quasi on board still.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
That's
And
it.
Amber, don't think that I wouldn't be helping you or whoever is going to come in as president either. I also don't have enough money to flee the country, so I will be here. Okay. All right. Is there anyone else that would be interested in running for treasurer?
Nobody's brave enough.
Okay. So if Nurit is successful in being treasurer, we would then have probably a special election for secretary. Obviously, it doesn't, unless we get another candidate, it looks like that may be how it goes down. So then we would be looking for a new person to be secretary and join the executive board. But we'd probably do that after she would officially take on the new role. So the voting is going to take place over the course of the next couple weeks. We wanted to give folks some time to do. It's going to be online. So once we get we're going to probably wait maybe, I don't know, 24 hours or something, and then we'll put it up there with the candidates. The link will be sent out to all dues-paying members so they can vote on the president and the treasurer. And then we will be closing that voting prior to the February 1st meeting. And at that meeting, we will announce the new president and treasurer of LV4ALL. So we did that just because we wanted people, I don't know, some time to vote. We wanted to give, unlike the Republicans, we think you should be able to vote over multiple days, as long as you're only doing it once.
And I think also we felt like it was a little weird and confusing to have the vote during the meeting, since some people could vote and some people couldn't vote and all that stuff. So
that's another option. That's another kind of option factor that went into it. And so we will look out for that. If you are not a dues-paying member and you wish to be, while he's still in the position, contact Jim. Our dues have gone up to $20 a person this year. If for whatever reason that's something that is untenable for you, absolutely reach out to Jim or I and let us know, and we can work on that. We use the dues money for things like renting out the Steelworkers Hall, for campaign equipment, for food and beverages for the volunteers and everything like that.
Printing,
So,
we do a lot of printing.
Yeah, Dave, I thought the dues were $15 until January 31st, and then they're $20.
That's what we said in the newsletter.
Well, it's on the agenda. It says that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's the early
yes.
bird rate. Ask Jim, he's the treasurer.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. Since people weren't aware that the dues is going to be going up to $20, we're going to have $15 from January 1st through January 31st, and effective February 1st, it'll be $20. I've received $15 from people on PayPal, $20 from people on PayPal, and $25 from people on PayPal. So if you overpaid the $15, which technically it is until the 31st, and you want a refund, contact me by email or PayPal, and I'll get those $5 or $10 back to you. What I've been doing is just adding it in as a donation. For instance, somebody sent $25, so I made it $20 dues and $5 donation. However, if you feel that you would rather hold to the 15, let me know and I'll get it back to you.
So if you want to pay your dues, you can really just go online, and you can just go on the website, Lehigh Valley, LV4ALL.org, and then go to the donate button, and then in the notes, just write dues.
Oh, that was my question. Okay, because that's what I just did, because I didn't know if it was due yet, so I just did it.
Yeah, I got
You
it.
did it, yay.
I don't want anything back. I thought it was just keep it. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I got yours, Pat.
Thank you.
And like Dave said, if you can just put down dues in the notes on PayPal, or if there's two people that you're paying for, make sure I have both names so I could add them to the list. If you are signing or paying through a business that does not have your name on it, also put your name in the notes so I know who is actually sending the dues in. So, appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Okay. So with that, we will be having that announcement on that vote next meeting. So very exciting times for LV4ALL. The next item on our agenda is we wanted to introduce Susan Wild's new campaign manager, Sarah Carlson. Sarah, I know we spoke in the beginning. Are you still on?
I am. Hello.
Well, hello. Welcome to LV4ALL. The floor is yours.
For having me. I appreciate it. I just wanted to jump on. I'm sure we will be interacting throughout the year. So I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that I was here and excited to, be a part of this campaign. I will throw my contact information into the chat. Feel free to reach out at any time if you have questions about how to get involved or have an idea or just need some direction on where to go to support the campaign. So like I said, I'll put that all in the chat, but then also I am actually going to be moving out to the district in about a month. And so look forward to hopefully meeting everyone in person safely. I know COVID is still a great concern for a lot of people. And so, yeah, I just wanted to come say hello and, let you all know that I'm here and ready to go.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Okay. If there's a specific email or anything, if folks want to get involved with the Susan Wild campaign, if you want to just drop any of that, if you have it in the chat, we can retain that for our records here. Otherwise, I'm sure we will have some more interactions with you in the future. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And I'm dropping my email in the chat right now, so everyone has it there.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right. Yeah, it's crucial that we maintain that House seat. That the other side is really scary. So
Yeah.
That's going to be one of the important races here. Okay. Speaking of Susan Wild's campaign, I wanted to introduce. I guess there's something that's going through the Lehigh County Dems about some sign campaigns for.
Well,
Susan
I'm thinking
Wild.
that it's my bad. I left off the agenda. We should have the real quick committee reports, the treasurer and the communications and all that stuff real quick first. Don't you think?
Sure. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. I guess we got through most of the folks who probably might need to step out early or something like that. So you guys have all heard a lot from me tonight about what's been going on. And I guess if anything I wanted to add to the president's report is that we had a fantastic holiday party. I want to thank everyone that came out to celebrate with us, who helped, pack up things at the end of the night or set up in the beginning, who maybe donated some food for the eating that we did. And I think everyone really had a good time. So thank you all again. And also the families that we got a chance to help this year. A lot of folks donated food as well as some gifts to the kids for some of the families that we always kind of adopt around the holidays. It was pretty cool. If I can share a personal story, Clarice and I went out to find toys for these three kids, and I was kind of excited to be back in the toy section picking out toys for people. We got like a skateboard and like a little science kit and everything like that. I'm sure you guys all have your stories as well. So I want to thank everybody that came out and did that. So with that, I want to turn it over to the rest of the executive committee. First of all, I want to start with Jim, who has the treasurer's report. Jim, Go ahead.
Okay, I'll keep it quick. Our overall total balance right now, as of 5 minutes before we started this meeting, was $7,366.46. And I have noticed things popping up on my screen that people are paying their dues as this meeting is going on, so that'll go up a little bit. For the year 2021 totals, we had income minus expenses, we had $2,886. So we had a positive year in 2021. Again, a total $7,366.46 as we speak. That's it. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much, Jim. So on to committee reports. Sergio, do you have anything for the communications committee?
No, but I know Gail does.
Okay, Gail, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to let you know that we are cleaning up the email list. Joanna Brahms and I worked on it, and which is good because we don't, some people are unsubscribed, some people, the email list is invalid. So that was something we accomplished this past month. And also, I do want to talk a little bit about PCPs, that's precinct chairpersons for the Democratic Party, but I think that's later on in the agenda. So what we'll do is I'll just put in a chat about information about that.
And just so everybody knows, now that the list is all cleaned up, we switched from MailChimp to Constant Contact. There were a lot of people that were not getting our emails anymore because their emails were rejecting it, like RCN and stuff like that. And I think that one of the reasons we can attribute such a high participation tonight was that finally people are actually getting our emails again. So I think it was a really good thing that, and we really owe them a debt of gratitude for cleaning that all up and getting it going again.
Can I say real quick, if that ever happens to you, or you think, did I get an email? Was there an email? Blah, blah, blah. You can always check out on our website, on the homepage, just scroll down to the newsletter. The new one should be there. Okay, so if you see that change and you didn't get an email, please let us know.
And also, everybody like us on Facebook if you haven't, because we put some fun stuff on there, some interesting stuff and pictures and things like that. So it's really good for us to be able to contact you through Facebook as well for important, quick things. Okay.
Okay, thank you both. As always, at the beginning of the year, I always like to put out, if you are interested in helping out LV4ALL in the capacity of any of these committees, absolutely reach out to the committee chair. If you are, looking to do more stuff with internet tech or in communications or anything like that, I'm sure Sergio would greatly appreciate the help. So with that, I want to move on to the Community Outreach Committee, which we kind of heard from, and that Gail has been leading the charge on that. So Gail, if there's anything additional, have at it, but otherwise, let me know.
Well, we're going to be trying our best to recruit PCP, precinct chairpersons for the Democratic Party. The precinct chairperson is the person who, in their own precinct, is the one that manages getting the vote out for their own neighborhood. And it's extremely important job. And it's like one of the best things you can do to support getting Democratic candidates elected.
Yeah, and just to follow up with that, so the new PCPs are all getting elected in the spring. They've got to get the 10 signatures and be on the ballot, and then we will, then they get to vote on who their chairman's going to be and things like that coming in this later in the spring or in the summer. So right now, every person who's a PCP has to up. They have to get petitions signed again. They have to get their names on the ballot and they have to get voted for again. You're not automatically a PCP forever. So that's an important thing to remember when you're going forward, that we'll be getting you your petition sheets, and you got to get 10 or 12 signatures. So it's not a huge deal, and we have a lot of empty spaces. So we do need find some more new people to help make sure that we're getting out the vote in every precinct.
Well, I'd like to say something. It's not just the empty spaces. It's who aren't doing anything.
Correct.
We'd like to replace them.
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah, so
if anybody here wants to be a PCP, please go to the Lehigh Valley for All website, hover over the volunteer section on the menu bar, and then click on Democratic Precinct Committee Person, and there's information there on what you need to do to become a precinct chair. And like Kathleen said, basically it's getting a petition, going down to the courthouse and getting a petition, and then walking around and getting 10, well, at least 50. They need 10, but get 15, and then put your name on the ballot, and then hope for the best. Thank you.
Right, and Kathy, this is Ben. You were at last night's meeting, and Dave as well, so you know that, coordinate with me, because I'll be working with the Bethlehem City Dems to try to contact all the PCPs within the city of Bethlehem, let them know they have to run again, see if they're up to it, and try to find other people to recruit if they're not.
Excellent. I didn't know for sure that you were doing that. That is awesome. Ben Felser steps up to the plate. Yeah.
Well, I was working with Mark Moss on that.
That's excellent. Okay.
Fantastic. Yeah, and if there's anyone else that is interested in either being a precinct captain or learning more about what that would entail, or organizing other precinct captains in your area, absolutely reach out to, if you're around Bethlehem, if you want to reach out to Ben, or if you want to reach out to Gail, or even me or Kathy, we can probably get you in the right point, in the right direction on it. It's one of the bedrocks of a successful county Democratic committee. Or if you're in Northampton County, you can also reach out to Matt Muncy, who I think is still on the call. Sorry, I missed you at first. I have a very obviously Lehigh County centric view on some of the things occasionally, but you can reach out to any one of those folks and they can help you get connected. And it's a really good way to not only know folks, but help out. Awesome. Okay. So next we will go to the amazing events committee.
Hi, it's Jenny. A big promotion for a big event coming up, a very important event coming up, which is petition signing. It'll be on February 18th and 19th at the Steelworkers Union in Bethlehem.
I think it's the 19th and 20th.
Is it?
It's a Saturday and Sunday. What day
You're
is it?
right. It's the 19th and 20th.
Okay.
Thanks for catching that. I don't know the times. Is it what, 10 to 3?
It's 10 to 3 on Saturday, but it's only 12 to 3 on Sunday.
Got it. Okay. I didn't know that. It will be the same as we did last year. For safety's sake, we're doing it car hop style. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's you drive up and you give us a call, and there will be people inside who will bring the petitions that are relevant to the district where you live for you to sign, and you can sign from the safety of your car, masked and everything. We need volunteers. Oh, and we need volunteers to either be inside to help put together those petitions. We need people to bring the petitions out to the people and
set up and clean up.
And set up and clean up. Roller skates are optional. So please let us know if you can help that. It's such an important day, and it's a fun day too. And if you can't do any of those things, at least please come over and sign petitions. You want to add anything to that, Kathy?
No, you did an excellent job.
Oh, thank you. Well, I wouldn't say that.
The petitions are due. They're starting. You can start getting petition signatures on the 15th of February, and the petitions are due in on March the 8th.
Somebody said they're bringing their roller skates. I missed that chat. But good.
Okay. That's good. And we should be blasting like 50s music out there too.
Amber's bringing her roller skates. That's
oh my God.
Yeah.
That sounds like an insurance case waiting to happen.
It's got litigation written all over it.
Right. all
So please
rollerbladers
contact,
accept
either
their own.
contact me or Sandy or Kathy to let us know if you can volunteer, what you can volunteer for, and what times you might be available.
I will put my email in the chat so people can email us and tell us if they want to volunteer.
Thank you.
I have a
Fantastic.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If, with the redistricting, I think it's crazy that they're going to have the petition signing, you know, with that short a time period. Is there a chance that they would extend it or change it?
There is a chance, but they will only change it if they change the election date.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
good
So
too.
in that case, the first weekend in March would be our new petition signing event.
Yeah.
We'd have
I'm trying to figure one out for our group, and I thought I had till the second week in March. So, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that I don't know, barring, you know, this, we don't have 100% that the election is going to fall on the day that it's supposed to, or anything like that. And it is kind of frustrating for those. These petitions are a pretty intensive thing to get. I mean, you can't just go knock on a door and talk to somebody. You have to get them to stand there and sign and fill out everything and all that. So hopefully we get some guidance before that date comes up in February, but yeah, we're all with you, Kathy.
Yeah, it's very up in the air right now.
Okay. Well, thank you, amazing events committee. I want to move on next to the volunteer coordination. And then Kathy, after you're done with the volunteer coordination, if you want to move just right into the Susan Wild stuff.
Well, my volunteer coordination talk and my Susan Wild stuff is the same talk. So that'll be good. So Susan Wild is worried, and we all are worried. There are so many elections going on from the governor all the way down to, you know, the state houses and the PCPs and everything. So we're really worried about her getting lost in the shuffle because we have so many candidates that we're going to be working for. And we have noticed that when you go door to door to talk about Susan Wild, nobody knows a single thing that she's done. You know, they don't really know much about her. So we're trying to remedy both of those things for the next campaign cycle. And so we came up with a few ideas. And one of the things that we're looking for is somebody to be a wild warrior. And what they're looking for is a liaison from each one of the groups: Lehigh Valley for All, Allentown City Dems, Bethlehem City Dems, all the Northampton County groups will work to make sure that the interests of Susan Wild's campaign are not lost in the shuffle. For instance, they'd be the ones to make sure we had the literature if we're going to be walking, and the ones that would liaison between Susan Wild's campaign and Lehigh Valley for All. You'd be the volunteer that would be in a couple meetings a month or maybe more, you know, with Susan Wild and her core campaign to talk about the different, you know, the best ways to campaign and what the topic of the month is and things like that. And it's just be somebody who would keep the eyes of our group on Susan Wild, because once we get going, our leadership is going to have to be working on the governor's race and the replacing Toomey and the lieutenant governor, and there's going to be, and Susan and so many campaigns, the local state senates and the state reps, and it's going to be really hard to keep her a focus on her unless we have one person in each one of the groups that's going to be their job. So they're looking for somebody who will be the wild warrior for Lehigh Valley for All. The first thing they're going to do is work on this thing that we're going to call the pin pledge. And you guys remember when I used to go around with the anti-Trump buttons all the time, like at the grocery store and stuff, people would always come up to me and say, "I love your button. You know, where can I get one?" And then I would have a bunch and I would give them one, and then they would put it on. And sometimes in the grocery store, there'd be 6 or 7 people walking around with an anti-Trump button at the same time. And so they're going to do a similar thing with for the pin pledge, where each group is going to be given buttons, you know, Susan Wild pins that say, "Re-elect Susan Wild 2022 Congress, you know, ask me how." And then everyone's going to get 2 or 3 of those buttons that they promise. They take a pledge to wear them all the time when they go out and about to the grocery store, the movies or whatever, and have a couple extra with them that they can give to people. So we're trying to really get awareness for her that way. And then the third thing they're doing is we're doing these barn signs. So we're going to have about a dozen of them, and 6 in Northampton, 6 in Lehigh County, and different groups are sponsoring. Upper Lehigh Dems has sponsored 2. Lehigh County Dems, or Lehigh County Democratic Committee is going to sponsor 1. I think the Bethlehem City Dems is going to be sponsoring 1, etc. So, and then at the bottom, those signs will say sponsored by Lehigh Valley, or paid for by Lehigh Valley for All, etc. And what the signs are going to be is kind of a wooden thing that's like a 4-foot by 3-foot thing. It's a permanent on a wooden frame, and it's going to be in different high visibility areas. And then each group is going to commit to being like the sign manager for a certain sign or 2 in the area. And so the sign will say, "Thank you, Susan Wild, for fighting." It'll always say that at the top, and her website and stuff at the bottom. But every month there will be a different message in the middle. So fighting for higher wages and better jobs in the Lehigh Valley. And then the next month might be, lower prescription and insulin costs for all of us. And the next one will be making sure we can all go to a doctor, we can afford a doctor, et cetera. So there will be 8 different messages, and they will be up for a month, and it'll be the same message all over the whole valley. So they'll be at places where, not highways, but where people have to slow down and stop and go again. So they'll see that every day when they drive to work or whatever. So that by November, they will know 8 things that Susan Wild did for us, because right now nobody really seems to know. So what we're asking for, 2 things is, will Lehigh Valley for All sponsor a sign? It's $144 to make the sign, and then it's $48 a month to change the message. And then we also need somebody who's willing to be the Susan Wild warrior. That will be the go-between between us and the Susan Wild campaign between now and November. That's it.
Well, I would like to throw my hat for that.
And for which thing?
The Susan Wild, the go-between between.
Oh, okay. Throw your name in for that. I'll write you down here. Let's see. Would anyone else like to do it? I mean, we can have a couple people.
We can have warriors. We don't need just one warrior.
Yeah. And since we have such a big group, it would be not a bad thing to have, and maybe a couple, 2 or 3.
I would help.
Who said that?
Sue DeRose.
Oh, okay.
Oh, fantastic.
That's good. And now if you guys are also going to be the sign, we need somebody who is going to be the sign liaison, because the thing about the sign is it's made out of vinyl, so it's not very heavy. But you do have to take out 4 screws, and every month you've got to take it over to the print shop so they can put on the new message, and then you got to go back and hang it back, screw it back into the frame. So if somebody a little more able-bodied, oh, Dale, what do you say?
I'll do that.
You think you can do that?
Somebody help me, and I know exactly who.
You're going to get somebody to help you. All right, then.
Absolutely.
All right, then, Dale and Sue, you guys are going to be in charge of the wild. You're going to be the wild warriors, and that's going to include making sure the sign message gets changed every month, right?
Yep, absolutely.
All righty, then. Anybody else really wanted to do this with them? You have a burning desire? Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, wait, Ann, are you raising your hand, Ann? I can't hear you, but is she on mute?
It
doesn't look like she's on mute.
Me?
Oh shit!
Ann.
I'm sorry. Go on, somebody else.
No, now we can hear you.
Got you
Go
now.
ahead.
Oh my God!
We heard you say shit.
Layers and layers, yes, stuff to go through. But no, anything I can help with, I'm more than willing to help, and I'll get on whatever committees ever need me. You know how I contact.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put you down as a helper too.
Sherry and I can jump in there too if needed. help Dale.
Okay. All right, it sounds like we got it very well covered. And does everybody vote that it's okay to spend, it's going to come out to about $538, I think, for all 8 of the messages in the sign.
Yes,
Yeah, we could do that.
yes.
All right. Okay, then. That was all I had.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So then I think the next thing we wanted to discuss was the preliminary campaign plans and PCP recruitment.
Which we kind of already have.
Yeah, we've discussed the precinct captain recruitment and all that. So as usual, we have a call to action, which is to sign up for our petition events. Petitioning is very important. It's one of the first hurdles that candidates have to overcome, especially for positions that are in smaller geographic regions, because no position is small, but sometimes the geographic region you represent is. So we really want to try to help folks in that. So contact either a member of the Amazing Events Committee or of the Just Okay Volunteer Coordination Committee.
The mediocre
right
event
showed up,
volunteer
no,
committee.
I'm kidding. So that should be good. We have a good year in front of us. If you are know of anybody who's running in 2022 that might want to come in and speak with our group, absolutely let us know. Hopefully we have a similarly streamlined endorsement process that we can get more focused this year as we move into trying to defeat some of the more scary far right opponents that we're going to have in the fall. So with that, I want to open it up if there are any comments for the good of the order.
I just want to make sure everybody looks for that email and make sure you vote for the officers sometime in the next few days.
I have something I'd like to say. In the New York Times on Sunday, there was a full page advertisement from Mrs. Obama, and she's got an organization she's putting together for a vote. I don't know if you can see that, but she wants to sign up. I think it was 1 million new voters, and she needs 100,000 volunteers, organizations that are joining this. And I just wanted to throw it out, think about whether we'd like to be part of that or not.
I personally already signed up for that myself. It's real easy. I got a thing, I think it was on Twitter that I got a thing yesterday, and you just have to text the word click, CLIQUE, to a certain number, and it's real easy, and then they will be in touch with you. And it's a nonpartisan signing up people to vote. That's one thing that they do make clear, so you know, but they're trying to get as many people as they possibly can registered to vote for the upcoming election. Also telling people that even if they think they're registered, to go ahead and make sure to check that they are registered. Okay, so that's what I know about it.
It's vote.org. I think that's how you sign up.
Okay.
And one other thing, Kathy, what did you say the signs were? What did they cost for what we're doing?
They're $144 to make the actual sign, and then it's $48 a month to change the message. And we're going to have 8 messages altogether over the course of the year.
So what's the total on that?
I think it's like $538. I don't know. What, you're making me do math right now? Oh my God.
Well, I'm thinking about paying.
Oh, you want to sponsor one for yourself?
No, I'll sponsor.
We will do math.
I think it's $528.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. That's excellent.
Okay.
Very good. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Dale.
All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I want to, I really think that
we should consider, I mean, it's great that we endorse candidates and we help them get elected, but there is a real big need for educating the public, at least on the south side in Bethlehem, on the importance of local elections. So I'm just wondering if Lehigh Valley for All could consider adding an educational committee where we can go to existing organizations, and I know a lot of them now, where we can be presenting to the community, like having a community meeting, getting people from that community. Linfield, Sandy knows, is one community, but Esperanza Church, I can get, if we bring donuts, whatever, to just educate them on, you know, for Senate, how often do we have to vote for Senate and for councilmen and the importance, because we need to get a lot more people that are eligible to vote, but they don't even know. They're only voting maybe for president and that's it. And I think, Sergio, you get this. Your mother was an advocate in the community, and it is still desperately needed. I wrote something up. I could send it to you guys, but I'm sure that I'm reinventing the wheels. I can also get Northampton Community College, the Civic Center students to volunteer and help with this cause. But I think that should be something that maybe we can consider adding on. Food for thought.
Yeah, I think that's a very excellent idea. Very excellent.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. I know that for a while we were talking about, because we had community outreach and we had communications, and we had sort of a discussion about, you know, what the roles of everything are going to be. So, I mean, we have hopefully we have some encouragement there for that. I think that might be a really good idea.
It's a really good idea.
With community outreach into something where we go out and talk about issues and meet with folks. I think that would be great. Sounds like maybe we have a volunteer, Tony. I don't know, to be a part of that.
Amber, did you have your hand up for some?
Well, let Tony respond first.
Okay.
I could certainly, I have a list of these organizations and their contacts, so I could certainly provide that. I could certainly start setting it up. I do presentations on NCC already, so that's pretty established. The Hispanic Center on the South Side, they know me there, Victoria Montero. So yeah, I can start there, but you know, there are other areas, Allentown and stuff that I'm not familiar with. But yeah, maybe our next president would consider having that and it could be part of the outreach, but that we go to them, because that's what it is. A lot of these people don't even have transportation.
This is Jenny. I think I agree. It's a wonderful idea. I think it would be good if we put together a standard program that we could take around, a traveling, you know, like a suitcase program to take to these different places. And on that note, I would volunteer to help make the visuals for that. If we're going to do like a PowerPoint slideshow, if we want to get technical about it, or posters or whatever, but I think we need visuals and a standard approach.
I ask a question. That sounds like a fantastic idea and sorely needed. Sounds like, would it be able to be combined with getting people either to check their voting status or register to vote, sort of around the same, like if the whole module was about blah, 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 and guess what, here we'll help you check your, I know that one of the things that happened in the COVID project when it first started in Easton is that most people didn't even know how to find out if they had a medical home so that they could actually get a COVID shot. So if I carry that forward to this, maybe people don't know how to check their voter registration stuff. I mean, I don't know, but an education program that also had hands-on, here's how you can register, or here's your status, something like that too.
You're right, that's very important. we got so many calls at election time with those exact kinds of questions that they didn't know how to do that. And that could be part of the presentation. Maybe at the end, we could have people come up and have somebody there with the computer to show them how to do it and check for them.
And if I might add, hi, I'm sorry. Hi, it's Naomi. If I could, hi. I would also add that I think we need to do a walkthrough of the mail-in ballots and how to fill them out correctly and what is required in terms of signatures and dating. So I think, and people who think they know how to vote and know how to vote correctly are not filling them out correctly. So it's, I think it would be a good lesson to give to everybody.
Is that what you were going to say, Amber?
From personal experience.
When Pat said about registering voters, because it makes sense, this sounds like a nonpartisan issue. It's just educating about when our elections occur, how often they occur, who is up for running, like not who's up, but what positions are available, and then education on the ballot. Mail-in ballot sounds great. I think it would be beneficial to have voter registration and voter checking registration running during the meeting, because I can see that it, depending on the size of the crowd, we want to have that rolling the whole time, because I could see a long line and then people not wanting to stay after. So that running in conjunction with the presentation, I think would be most beneficial.
You know, if we could have people sign up ahead of time, then you would have their information ahead of time, and then you could, when they walk in, you could give them like, you're registered to vote or you're not registered to vote, and they would have it right from the very beginning.
Well,
And you'd have their names.
And the person who was saying they do overhead like PowerPoint graphics also could have some kind of screenshot. That now not everybody has a computer or knows how to use their phone, which is what we found on the project. People need the assistance, but I'm totally sensitive to this notion of thinking through so you don't have waiting lines and people get frustrated and leave. That somehow is incorporated into the process of the education would be, I don't know, maybe helpful. I will, whenever you get your materials together and have something that you want to do, because I did that sort of thing for the COVID project, was helping people figure out their medical home, getting them signed up, stuff like that. You could throw my name in and I'll help you with that too.
And also David Summers speaks Spanish. He's a member of our group. He isn't able to come to much, but he's a teacher. And I think this is something that he might be interested in working on as well. So I will reach out to him to see if he'd be interested in it.
I don't speak Spanish, I'm sorry. So maybe I'm somebody else.
No, I mean, you don't have to see, there's a lot of different groups to go to, but I'm just saying, I don't think we can totally count on Tony to be at every single one of these events if we really get this thing going. So a couple more Spanish speakers would be good.
I would just like to clarify, this is Gail Pruninger. Is this is going to be totally nonpartisan, right? When we do this education?
It's going to happen.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, I wanted to add something.
Nurit?
Yeah, I put it in the chat, just off of Naomi's idea. I think that at the time when people are actively filling out their mail-in ballots, we could hold some nonpartisan seminars as well, just to tell them how, you cannot tell them how to vote, but you can tell them how to do it correctly. And I think that would be very useful, if not just in those type of locations, but also in senior homes. You know, I always wanted to do that where my uncle stays, and I think they got someone else local to do that. But I think so important to have that type of training available during that exact time period.
I would actually probably not recommend that, because if we're able to do it, other people may also want to do it, and the nonpartisan aspect of it could be fuzzy. And I think that they should not have their ballots in hand. I think that people could be swayed.
I do remember that being an issue when we were looking into going into the nursing homes to help people with mail-in ballots. When we looked at this during the Biden campaign, I think it was, how to stay nonpartisan.
It's just
I mean, I feel like it would be
It needs to be
Go ahead.
sort of more separated, more sterile is what I want to say. So that when you do the education, it's like, here's what a ballot looks like. Here's how you would do it. But I'm with the people who are sort of having a little more conservative view about not supporting during the time the person is filling out the ballot, because it's going to be very difficult to prove that you had no influence over that. And that's all we need. All we need is a hint of anything like that. Or I think it happened last time. Didn't some people bring in like groups of ballots that came from eventually? Yeah, it was a big.
We wouldn't mail their ballots for them.
No,
but,
no,
yeah.
But the breadth of
I'm
the impropriety would be deadly in this environment.
exactly. I mean, I sat in the elections office all day on election day, and it's really you don't want to cross any lines. You don't want it to even look like there are lines being crossed. And so I would it should all be done prior to the ballots being received. You just give, you can get a sample ballot from the past, a sample envelope, and say, this is what it looks like, and go line by line. I do not see the General Assembly changing the ballots as much as they need to be changed. It's right now, it's going right. Right now the Cohen campaign are still in the middle of dealing with the mail-in ballot situation. So I doubt things are going to be changed.
Maybe then, if that's not a good idea and we can't commit to something like that, maybe we can do some really good pamphlet or documentation on how to do it exactly correctly when we go to these communities to do the type of training that Tony mentioned. But maybe we could have something really very well done to pass around prior to that time period when the mail-in is actually being done. I just think people don't understand well enough how to do it correctly.
And then, if it's bipartisan, it's informative, it's in an informative session. Right. We do this throughout the year, and eventually, hopefully, organizations will be seeking us out as in that branch of just bipartisan information on the importance of voting and when they come up for votes.
Can I just ask Linda, what's your last name? I can't hear you because you're muted. Muted, unmute.
He's working on it.
Okay.
Click. It's Kellerman. I was looking at the same thing. I want to be able to fill out my last name.
Okay, that's cool. I just wanted to make sure.
There we go. And my husband Jim is here with me. So
hi, Jim.
You need his. We work as a team often.
So you guys must get our emails, our newsletter, since you're on this call. So you're good with all that. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
So Kathy, how are new committees formed on Lehigh Valley for All?
We don't have it in the bylaws, Dave, any certain committees do we?
We do.
Okay.
There are ways of having if we have 4 standing committees within the bylaws that have been in there since 2016, when as a fresh law school graduate during a fever dream wrote this grand document that would be the bylaws for LV4ALL that I and maybe one other person has looked at in the last 7
I was wondering
years.
why there was a drinking game.
It should be a drinking game.
Yeah, I was like, this is the only way to settle it. That's how our founding fathers settled things. So anyway, but there's no, basically we've amended the bylaws before. You basically just cut out parts you don't like, put in parts you do. And there's a mechanism where you just get like a 2/3 of the membership to vote on it over the course of a meeting.
But could it just be a subcommittee of the outreach committee?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that seems logical.
Instead of confusing it more, make it a special project under community outreach.
And actually, there's already provisions in the bylaws, which doesn't really matter, that say that the executive committee can create not like another committee to do certain things. And we've done that before. I think at one point we had like a fundraising committee that was out, that was kind of outside helping the treasurer or something like that. So I don't know. I don't anticipate having to have a court injunction if we're not necessarily following the bylaws of LV4ALL. I think as long as the group is not tearing itself apart, I think we should be okay just to do something to do it.
It's the
I'm not gonna
bylaws.
have my feelings. Don't amend the bylaws.
The bylaws say at the discretion of the president, you could do an ad hoc committee.
What, you have the bylaws memorized, Jim Dunstan?
Have them on my screen.
Excellent.
I live for bylaws.
Oh my God, don't we all?
You're like when an author's like, "You read my book," and I say, "You read my book."
Yeah, I think that it simply fall under the the outreach committee is perfect, because that's
Yeah.
what we're doing. So we don't
Yeah.
need to do anything. We can, we can put it under there. Okay.
Yeah, I would think
It's
so.
an excellent idea. It's,
Yeah,
kind of something
absolutely.
like what the League of Women Voters used to do. So, and it worked. It worked in the past. They're kind of, they're doing their best now, but they're kind of hurting for volunteers too.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
So we can count on everybody on this call to make sure that they're gonna, at least if nothing else, sign petitions for all the candidates and the PCPs next month, and find some more people to help and shuffle them over to the petition signing events as well. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And then for those who want to do the education, if this is all right with you, Dave and Kathy and the rest of LV4ALL, maybe we can just put your email. Tony has already done that in the chat. And then we can start collaborating, because I think this might be a good idea to get some education out there before our main elections are coming up.
Yeah. There's definitely going to be a lot of questions around these elections. So.
Mm-hmm. So everyone wants to join that subcommittee.
And the other thing is we have to make sure that we are educated, or at least this outreach committee that's going to be doing the educating knows their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It is plenty of time to work on it and perfect it by the time it should be start rolling out, I guess you could say.
I think Sergio got bored. He put everybody in chairs. Or am I the only one seeing that?
Oh, no, I hate that.
Volunteers.
It looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Missing classrooms.
Looks like we're the United Nations.
Yeah.
And Naomi's
It
up
looks
there on
like,
top.
Kathy Parsons, did you have something to say?
Sergio, I think when you switched it to classroom mode, you kicked me off of there. So I don't know what that means, but I'm back.
I see you.
might have missed something.
I feel much more serious now.
I
Like you have
know.
to sit up and
Sit up straight.
yes.
I won't
That's
be
all.
chewing gum or anything.
Yeah.
Everybody spit out your gum.
All right.
I have a question. How do we know if we paid our dues?
Oh, that's a good question.
Probably, yeah, if you want to check with Jim.
Jim, I sent you a message.
You're on mute, Jim. I can't hear him.
All right, there you go. I was saying Sergio put me in that box thing and I was on mute. So I'm back. Can you hear me, Tony?
Can we hear? I can hear you.
Tony, can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yep.
All right, Tony, you owe dues for 2022 rather. And I answered your thing in the chat.
Oh, I didn't see it. Okay, thanks.
Yep,
You got mine. I paid $20. You can keep the $5.
got it.
Okay, all right. Anyone else have anything they want to discuss before we close out? I know I normally like to get people out here by 8:30.
Yep.
Yep. Before Rachel.
All right.
Happy Rachel.
Thank you, everybody, so much. Thanks for coming out to our January meeting. And
Thank
we'll see
you.
in
Woohoo!
February.
Thank
See you on
Thanks, folks.
February 1st. Don't forget to vote.
Okay, bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Get to volunteer.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.